Hello, and thanks for joining our mini training and overview of talking to people you know about voting. We're going to dive into what that looks like, what that's all about, and this handy dandy guide talking about relational organizing, which again is just talking to people you know. But first, I want to show you where this document lives on our MNIPL website. Under Take Action, you can find our voter conversation campaign, where you can see that we are all about for this summer and fall, helping people of faith and spirituality have conversations that are nonpartisan about voting, how to vote, and what's at stake this election to make sure that as many people turn out in these really critical midterms as possible. And you can see that there are three ways that you can do that with us this year. First, we're supporting people to host door knocks that are hosted at faith communities and all about talking with neighbors, making sure that everyone is registered and ready to vote. Also showing up in public spaces, so that's tabling, being where people are at to have those conversations. And then third, what we're going to talk about is talking with people you know, which is actually the most effective way to increase voter turnout, because we are trusted messengers for people in our lives, especially new or infrequent voters who maybe need that extra push. So as you can see, we're going to be looking through this relational organizing guide together, and hopefully this answers questions you have or curiosities. But I will say, if you have other questions or want to talk through this, reach out to us at outreach@mnipl.org. And also, we'll be offering a public training on relational organizing on September 15th at 6:30 p.m. So you can check out our website for more info. But just going through this document, you can see all of our table of contents here and how you can jump to whatever section you need. So first, we're going to go over knowing how to vote. That's the most probably important thing, so you can be a good resource for people in your life. You can either vote on election day. You want to make sure that you know where your voting location is and that other people know. That's because due to redistricting, due to our 10-year census, people's polling locations and candidates may have changed because they might be in a new district. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on election day, and you can check a lot more at mnvotes.org. You can also register to vote on election day, which is something unique that Minnesota offers that other states don't always offer. But you don't have to vote on election day on November 8th. You can vote early by mail. And you can do that really easily by applying for an absentee ballot, again at mnvotes.org. Postage is prepaid, so you don't pay anything. You want to make sure that you return it as soon as possible, because mailed-in ballots do need to be received by November 8th, election day. You can also track the status of your ballot, again at mnvotes.org. And also, you can learn more by clicking here. Just one thing to keep in mind: if you change your mind, want to cancel your ballot, you can do that up to 1 week before election day, and then you can vote again. Maybe you change your mind on a candidate or something else. And then lastly, you can vote early in person. You can vote early for the primary between June 24th and August 8th, and in the general election between September 23rd and November 7th. You can do that at your county election office. You'll just need to find it here at mnvotes.org, and you'll need to go during their normal business hours. So that's the overview of the different ways that you can vote. And now we're going to think through brainstorming a list of 10 people at least that we hope you reach out to before November 8th. Again, you might want to reach out to maybe high school graduates who just turned 18 and this is their first election, or maybe people in your life who you know moved, who you know need to re-register, since you have to re-register every time you change your name or change your address. Maybe you want to think through people who you know are not frequent voters. They do not pay much attention to elections. Maybe they vote in presidential years, but not in the midterms. A lot of people do that. In Minnesota, we have really high voter drop-off when we're not in presidential election years. You could also think through people who are regular voters, but maybe need that reminder because Maybe they don't think the midterms matter as much. So that extra push from you can have a huge impact. So there's no limit to who you can talk to, but some ideas are family, close friends, everything from people you see regularly, like people in your faith community, people you go to school with, your neighbors, to people you see sometimes. Maybe you're part of a Zumba group or a book club. Maybe you have college students that you're related to. Maybe there are local businesses that you go to often, all the way to people that you could reconnect with that maybe you haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe college or high school friends, people whose Facebook posts you like, and people you send holiday cards to. Those are just some ideas, hopefully to give you some inspiration of people you might not have thought of before. You can print out this guide and actually write your contacts here if you want, or use a Post-it, whatever would be helpful for you. The key thing though is to set a reminder for yourself so that closer to November 8th, you make sure that you've reached out to them at least once. Or maybe you reach out this summer or earlier in the fall. They say, you know, I'm going to vote by mail. Maybe you check in a couple weeks ahead of November 8th to make sure that they actually did that. And you can also think really creatively. Some people are thinking about actually calling up every person in their congregation using their directory to make sure that they're ready to vote. Not people that they're maybe close with, not everyone, but they'll appreciate a friendly face or friendly voice giving them a call, making sure they're ready to vote. So the next step is just have a conversation. You want to make sure that you center this conversation about what's at stake this election for both of you. So first, think about why this election is important to you. Are you thinking about climate change? Are you thinking about gun control or the economy or all kinds of other issues? Maybe our democracy itself, making sure that we still have free and fair and safe elections everywhere. Then reach out, and you can do that however you normally talk to this person. Maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's a text, maybe you send a Facebook private message, maybe you're meeting in person for coffee and you bring this up already, however you normally connect. And here's kind of a normal or a potential conversation flow. You might want to start by catching up, ask how they're doing. While you're catching up, listen for what values or issues are important to them right now. Connect their values with your own if possible. And then really importantly, connect those values with why voting is important. So for example, if they talk about why they're nervous about climate change or frustrated about a lack of action on climate or whatever issue, you could say, that's why voting in this election is so important so that we can get people in office who will act on climate. Then you want to ask how they plan to vote and share your voting plans and why. It's really essential for them to think through, how am I actually going to vote? The more specific they can be with their plan, the more likely they are to actually do it. You can even send them to mnvotes.org and show them how they can register to vote, how they can find their polling place, see who's on their ballot, etc. And a really important note, again, because of redistricting, some people are in different districts than they expect. And if they don't check ahead of time their polling location, they're going to show up at the wrong place on election day. So that's why you're actually doing a favor to people by checking in with them, making sure that they've double checked. And then you could ask them to talk to 3 friends about voting as well. That triples our impact and really kind of spreads the word about how important it is to vote in this critical election. And then after the conversation ends, just make a note of their voting plan. You could follow up with them a few weeks later to see if they voted, or again, follow up closer to November 8th to say, hey, did you turn in your absentee ballot? Let me know if you have any questions. And if you're connecting with someone, maybe not in person or on the phone, maybe you're talking via text or private message, you could just jump into the conversation with, for example, hey, I'm checking in with people ahead of the election. Do you have a plan to vote yet? I'm going to vote by mail or whatever. And then the last part is just let us know that you're taking action. That's how we're able to see our impact, and we're able to celebrate the amazing stories that are going on. So all you have to do is click this quick Google form, fill it out here. I pledge to speak with how many people about voting before the election. You can put in whatever number you want. You can also tell us what their names are. We're not going to do anything with that information. It's just a chance for you to actually think through and share those names. And then we can follow up with you later to see if you followed up with them. And then just submit it, and that's all. If you have any success stories or questions, please make sure to email outreach@mnipl.org. And if you want to learn more and go deeper, we'll be hosting a relational organizing training on September 5th at 6:30 p.m. and we'd love to have you there. So hopefully this overview gives you an idea of how talking with people you know really intentionally about voting is so powerful and so critical. Out of all the ways that we can talk to voters, it makes sense, right? People trust you, you're a trusted messenger. And so if you talk about how important it is to vote and have a voting plan, they're more likely to do it. We hope that in addition to whether you're door knocking or writing postcards or calling voters or whatever you're doing, we hope that you add this to your voting engagement plan because it really does make a huge difference. So thanks so much and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.